Joburg's City Power has called for understanding from residents as it battles to keep up with the demand for reconnections. This follows the devastating floods and thunderstorms that lashed Gauteng on Thursday. Its response time has been adversely affected due to the extent of the damage and the number of calls from residents experiencing power cuts. A number of areas have been without electricity for prolonged periods of time. City Power says it has decided to have all hands on deck during the day shifts and deploy skeleton staff for night shift work. It says restoration of power will take a great deal of effort and has called for understanding from residents. Meanwhile, our reporter Nozintombi Miya has been following the story for us.
We are joined by the MMC, Michael Son, as well as the CEO of City Power, just to give us an update on what the latest information has been in terms of them tallying it up. Thank you so much, MMC, for joining me. You are getting the feedback report. I think everybody wants to know where the mop-up operations are right now in terms of assisting those who've called in for assistance.
Yes, no, that is right. So we are here at our City Power headquarters in Ruben, Johannesburg. I've interrupted the team in the meeting so we can come out and speak to you. It's very important that we also keep the community and the media informed of what we are doing. As you know, the storm and the floods are not subsided yet. Many of the places across the city are still underwater, submerged in a lot of the damage. And our City Power colleagues and the on-the-ground workers are working 24/7. In fact, this is part of the briefing I'm getting right now, that we are working on clearing up the backlog. We are working to restore a lot of the failures, and very importantly, of course, bring back the network into a stable level of management. So it's really 24/7 for us. We all had very little sleep, but we are here to ensure that we resolve the problem as soon as possible.
Yeah. You know, as much as you are saying that you're trying to get the problem resolved, on the ground, we are hearing frustration from residents. We are hearing that they're just not getting assistance, they're not getting through to the call center. What is your message to residents who are literally sinking in water and they just can't get assistance?
No, we feel the pain. We really feel the pain, even with the limited resource. City Power, City Power CEO and the executives and teams, we are making plans. So some of the strategy that we'll share with you, for example, we've now adopted a all hands on deck approach. Those on leave must come back. Those teams that were previously dealing with, for example, street lights. Now we brought in that resource to say that we'll hang on with the street light repairs for the time being, but we need to get to the faults as quickly as possible. So please have patience with us. We are there, as I've said, it's 24/7 operation for us now. We're not sleeping, but more importantly, we want the residents to be restored in terms of water and electricity.
Thank you so much. This is where we're going to rope you in, Mamchifiwa, CEO of City Power. You did give us a brief update yesterday about a backlog of 4,000 calls that you're receiving. It's been more than 12 hours since. What is the situation as it stands now?
Thank you. Unfortunately, the situation is still bad. In fact, right now we're sitting at 4,200 calls, because obviously what happens is customers that had not necessarily logged the calls but are still off have also now logged calls. So we know the areas that are affected. We have deployed teams to prioritize those areas, and we're looking at the customers that were left off for days. So we are starting at the very back and ensuring that everybody is attended to. We are simply appealing for patience. We understand the frustration. No one wants to have their lights off. Unfortunately, we are dealing with equipment that at times is still submerged underwater. So we have to drain that water. We have to wait for that water to be totally off, because we're dealing with moisture as well, before we can attend to issues such as, for example, the cables that are faulty, in order for the guys to terminate and do the repairs. So we are dealing with a high volume of calls as we speak, because we've got poles that are washed up, cables that are eroded. So we are dealing with all of that at the moment.
CEO, what I did want to get further information from you on is you said that there are areas that you're prioritizing, but could you just mention which areas those were that have been without power for several days?
All right, so in the main, we're looking at the Hairsteel area, the Randbeck area, Lenasia area, and also parts of inner city that is fed from the underground tunnels. Because as we speak to you right now, unfortunately, the tunnels are flooded. Because it's also not just the issue of the rain that has come out, it turns out there's also a river underneath the city. So we're dealing with a lot of water at the moment. So we do appeal to our customers to give us a little bit of time. We are definitely, as the MMC has indicated, all hands are on deck. Even the MMC is here to emphasize the issue, oversight on our side to make sure that everybody is really coming through. Even our senior manager for streetlights is here to ensure that she deals with certain parts of the network as well.
CEO, one of the big issues with lights being off is the issue of safety and security. And with the industries and the businesses that we spoke to, they said that they now are in a situation where they have to fork out more money to get private security to watch the walls or the roofs or any items of theirs that have now been exposed and are no longer safe. What do you have to say to businesses that are now having to fork out more money just to get private security because there's no electricity?
Firstly, I applaud them for partnering with us in this journey. We are dealing with criminals. In as much as our mandate is to ensure that the lights are on, when you've got criminals that go out of their way to ensure that they vandalize and they steal our infrastructure, it obviously affects all of that. So as City Power, we are not in the security business. We're in the lights on business. But right now we find ourselves dealing more with security incidents than anything else. So we're going out of our way to really appeal to the community at large, because this theft and vandalism is not happening in vacuum. It's happening in the communities, the very communities that we serve. So we are appealing to the communities to partner with us in terms of curbing all of this. We are going to be ensuring that on our side there's also more budget that is allocated to ensure that we also fight this. But with all the money that we can put on this ourselves as City Power, we still need everybody else coming together to assist. We need the police, we need the private sector, we need the community.